to the Dean Obeidallah Show on SiriusXM Progress.
And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. We're live right here, Monday, January 7th. So, brothers and sisters of the Resistance, we're going to shift gears for a second. In the third hour, I'll take some more calls. But right now, very happy to have in studio, you can watch on Facebook.com/DinaRadio, Colin Quinn, you know from SNL's Weekend Update, Remote Control, from movies like his star turn in Night at the Roxbury. To one man.
God.
Sorry.
Don't go over all my credits. It's only going to put me in a bad mood.
I know, but I was kidding with the Night at Roxbury.
I know,
star
but
turn.
it was actually my life, so I do have to live it.
Sorry. And here's Ann's got a brand new one-man show, Red State, Blue State, playing January 5th to March 3rd here at the Minetta Lane Theater in New York City. I had Asif Manvi on right before he did a one-man
he was right
show.
there, yeah.
And your show is just like his, about an Indian family immigrating to America,
That's
right?
correct.
So it's remarkable.
It's a restaurant.
Do you do an Indian accent the whole show?
I do.
Like he does?
People aren't offended by it.
That's remarkable.
I do it so authentically.
Colin, welcome to my show. It's good to see you in
Dean.
studio, my friend. It's been a while.
Good to see you, yeah.
I met Colin. I worked at SNL. I was like a page, and then I became in research department. And I used to try to sell you jokes. Every now and then you would buy them for update when you'd update. One of my favorite things, though, a line you did was, it may have been during the audience warm-up, because sometimes for the show you would do, and you said, like, I want to be a writer. Like, oh, great, write this down. Get me a coffee, a donut, and 2 sandwiches. And do you remember that joke?
No.
I always, like, so to this day, when people say I want to be a writer, I go, good, let me write this down.
Yeah.
So, by the way, before we talk about your show, when you look back at SNL, I mean, I was there with you. I can't remember if you liked it or not. And I think back and I reflect on when you were doing Update, and there was times it was great, but there were times I can sense stress. I don't know if the executives were giving you notes and it was crazy or not.
Yes, at the time, I loved the first 2.5 years there. And the last 2.5. Once I started doing Update, it was a different. I came in under a cloud, the Norm Macdonald thing, and I just feel like that affected me, even though, it shouldn't have for that long. That's on me, but whatever. Whatever the reasons were, my own psychological, whatever, I definitely did not enjoy the last 2 years.
You didn't?
No.
I could tell there was a difference to you because I knew
totally
you
changed.
Right, and that's so that explains it. And then there was Kevin Brennan like lurking right behind.
But that didn't bother me. That was only the last. That was after a long. That had nothing to do with it. Although not that Kevin brightens up anyone's day. We both know.
Kevin, right? And it's funny when I see Kevin, I go, "Look, it's Neil Brennan's brother," and he gets really mad at that.
Of course he does.
I know. I don't know why I say that.
Why would you say that?
Just to be fun.
Say that to anyone's brother.
Well, because he was well known way before Neil. And then Neil
and he's Kevin's still hilarious. Believe me.
Very, very funny.
Oh God.
One of my favorite things was at Dangerfields, and Kevin went on and killed. And I was hosting, and then and afterwards, Steve Marshall goes on, and Marshall's like bombing, and an audience member heckles him by going, "Your setups are too long," which was the greatest heckle I ever saw. So I told Kevin, and I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, "Kevin, you killed so hard." They're hitting him with constructive criticism.
Oh my God!
It was I swear to God, I couldn't stop laughing.
That's beautiful.
I still laugh at this years ago. So you've long been railed against political correctness. Not that you're a racist or a bigot.
No.
Arguably, you're not. But here's a clip.
Everybody can be considered racist and bigot today, so it's really not even a slander.
Well, I want to play your clip from 2015 from your show Unconstitutional, where you talk about PC world in 2015.
Yeah.
And I want to get your reaction. Has it changed for the better or worse or the same? Let's hear clip 5.
But if you even mention ethnicity, your stomach feels tense. If you even mention someone's ethnicity, everyone's like, wow, wow. If I told you a true story, this Mexican guy came up to me, whoa. Why does this guy have to be Mexican in your true story? I don't understand. You have to speak in the most idealized, pasteurized, homogenized, colorblind at all. You feel bad. If you notice, you're like, this guy comes up to me, could have been Mexican. Oh, I don't care. I shouldn't have been a Central American, Hispanic, Latino. It was a man, all right? Wait a minute. I was sexist. I don't know if it was a man. Could have been a woman. It could have been LGBT. I don't know. I mean, it was a life form came up to me. You know what? Hold on.
Life form came up to me.
Yes.
2015. have things changed in worse, better? Same?
Well, AI robots will be the new non-gender, non-racial, non-religious. So it's actually a positive thing that robots are going to take over.
So they won't be offended.
Yeah,
but people will be offended. So what has your comedy? Look, I'm not going to ask you what's the line in comedy. People ask me that, but what's your line? Do you have any line in jokes you tell? It's going to be about a race or gender.
It's like it's so hard when people ask us that because you know what I mean. Like, what does it mean? Because it's like I always tell people like we're still human beings despite all evidence to the contrary, comedians, and so we get offended by things too. It's not like I walk around going, hey, nothing offends me. A lot of things offend me just like they offend everybody.
Sure.
Anything that personally happened to you is going to be offensive. But of course, as you know, the constitutional legal argument from Fordham Law is who gets to decide what's offensive. Right. You know what I mean? Like the Lenny Bruce thing and, I don't know pornography. I know it when I see it.
Right.
So, right now, because of social media, I'd say there's a element that wasn't in there before, and some people could argue that's good. I wouldn't, but it's the way it is what it is. But I mean, as far as my line, it shifts depending on, if I think what I'm saying is funny and true, then, you know what I mean? Of course, I'm going to try to say it because that's what comedy is, so it's just very, it's very hard to pin it down.
Well, how have things changed? I mean, you were doing comedy in the 80s and the 90s. How's comedy changed? Did you feel like when you look back at the 80s, you literally could say anything, if it got a laugh, nobody cared? Or then did it begin the PC culture?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been, things are always offensive. I mean, it's hard to really say. But in the 80s, it was just more. It was much looser. I mean, but even my last show was New York Story. I talked about ethnicity the whole show. Everyone laughed. You know what I mean? But
sure.
That might have been the last days of that. But it's sort of a look back on how people were identified by ethnicity. Now, when people bring up anyone's ethnicity, everyone's just like, well, that's unnecessary. It used to be a joke. I'm sure you remember 15 years ago when people would say they'd see the guy's afraid to say the black guy. They go, that guy over there with the purple. It was.
Right.
And so, but now people really don't talk like anybody under the age of 30. They just don't speak that way. You know what I mean?
Do you do any colleges at all for even your one-person
No, but
show?
that's not because of political correctness. It's because I'm old. Why would colleges want an old guy on their stage? I did a couple of colleges on parents' night, so it's the parents and the kids.
And it worked out.
It's fine, yeah, but I mean,
But look, let's be honest. I don't know your exact age, but look, Conan O'Brien, Jon Stewart. I mean, they would get booked in colleges in a second. And Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, of course, but they're bigger names. You know what I mean? Their shows, they have giant shows on. You know what I mean? I wish, you know what I mean?
That's good.
Of course.
Point.
I mean, that's,
right. That's fair, Paul. What can I say? I'm with Colin Quinn, who speaks the truth. Comedy is true. I mean, look at Louis C.K., I imagine,
right.
Well. And he
not that well.
All right. I like you distancing yourself from him before we get to the joke.
Well, I'm just trying to explain. We never hung out, me and him.
Okay.
But I'm not trying to distance. I'm just giving you the truth.
I spoke to him a few times when I used to work at the Cellar years ago when Manny
right.
was still alive, and then Louis would be there and we would talk.
Right.
And
it's
not like I know him well or anything, but he certainly had his own type of humor.
Right.
And then the Parkland joke about the Parkland survivors, right. Like. What do you do when people are that outraged? And they truly are. I mean, the father of some of the survivors.
Sure.
I get that outrage.
Sure.
So what do we do in the world of comedy? I mean, are we holding our comedians to a standard that we'd hold a Trump, a president, or a senator to?
No, but I mean, higher standard than that. But no, we don't. I mean, look, Louis paying the price for his things that happened last year. So, I mean, that was part of.
Sure.
It's not. If he had said that Parkland joke 2 years ago, people would have been like, I'm sure.
Edgy.
It would have been a different reaction.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, but I mean, I don't know. Of course, I mean, you see the Golden Globes last night, right?
Yeah.
That's what apparently that's what the world of comedy is reduced to. Mocking the idea of mocking people.
Oh, the opening with Andy Samberg.
Yes.
And it was way inside type of
tepid.
thing.
No, forget about inside. It's Treacle. It's like 1955 again. And that's what has been created, in my opinion, by political correctness, is that people are setting up like fake realities and then writing their jokes into the fake reality. And it's like, that's the world. You can't change the way it's going to go. But you see it on stage. You've seen it progressively go on in the past 25 years where people are like, okay, and now it's just it's sort of like a gut reaction you have from certain terminology. So you do. Ironic thing is, the only solution is Steve Marshall, longer setups. People have to give longer and longer setups to explain, here's where I'm coming from with this joke.
Right.
So, that's just what you have to do so that people understand, oh, I can laugh at this joke. That's the way it is,
It's like if I just did jokes about Arabs or Muslims and didn't reveal to the audience my background, it would be like, what are you doing? And that's understandable.
That's right.
But it's hard. Like, there are jokes I do that Muslim crowds laugh at. I could do shorthand. Obviously, we get it's my community.
Of course, shorthand.
But some I try to actually explain to just the white crowds, we'll call them, at the clubs. And a few transfer over. Others, there's this kind of hesitance. They're not sure if I'm really Muslim. They don't know if I'm really Arab because I look like a white guy.
Right.
Am I being a jerk to a group of people who are being demonized already? So it makes it, I'm trying to say, like, I've had people come afterwards. Are you really Muslim? Like, who would say it in this climate? Like, why would you say, I thought it was a good career decision to say, like, I'm a Muslim guy. Yeah. My name has the word Allah in it. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
What about in the clubs in New York? Do you find anything in the last, you develop your one-person show, I assume, in the clubs, downtown at the Cellar?
In the clubs, yeah.
With Esty?
Yeah, well, around the corner now at the Fat Black Pussycat. But yeah. But I develop it there. And I just do what I do. I mean, my show right now is about breaking up, about the United States. Really, I mean, that's what Unconstitutional is about. But now I really say it's time for the country to separate, because nobody should have to live a way they don't want to live in this country, red state or blue state. They should not want to live. People's idealized societies is not what democracy is. It's people living in there the way they want to live. So I think we should separate it to city-states, like ancient Greece, city-states. And so I go through a whole list of how that would work. And that's what I believe.
So that in Colin's new show, Red State, Blue State, which is playing through March 3rd here in New York City at Minetta Lane Theater, which is a great theater, is so your premise, your real thesis is that we should divide up into city-states.
Yes. And I'm not even kidding.
Athena, what was it like? It would have like
Athens and Sparta. Yeah,
like the 300 type of thing scenario.
Well, that's the worst case scenario, but what's going on now is not going to end well. All people do is ridicule, yell, scream, attack each other. It's bad. It's bad. Look, my appearance on the show. How many people are going to be tweeting after the show? You let that asshole. You know what I mean? This is the world we.
They might say that.
Of course they will. That's the world we live in, where people are just fuming mad for whatever, sometimes their own reasons, sometimes legitimate, but a lot of times it's just people's own anger and frustration over life in general and, society, and so then it just all comes out, and then everybody's walking around it feels to me like everybody's walking around in a rage, and to me, this is the prelude to war.
Like a real civil war.
Yes.
I've had people, we're on the Progressive channel, I've had progressives call up and say, they fear we're leading to that. And I have to hope that we're not. It's more like this kind of cold civil war, which it really is a cold cultural war.
Cold cultural wars end. How is this going to end? What's the end game here? That people are going to go, hey, you know what? I want to live the way you think I should live. Is that the end game? It's not going to happen. That's not human nature. Human nature is, okay, let's see where this goes. You want to push me? I'll push you and see what happens. That's the way it goes.
But can you not live in your own little world today without, like, if you're really progressive, you're probably not going to want to live in the middle of some red state, which is in the rural areas where it's really conservative. And now people have self-segregated. They've shown that people are moving to areas where they feel more comfortable.
Right.
So your views are completely validated and echoed all the times without any challenge.
That's how it should be. City-states.
You think so?
Well, that's how Europe survived all those years. The people in Austria, well, this is a bad example. The people in Italy and the people in Romania, bad example. Actually, Italy conquered Romania. The reason it's called Romania is Roman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So let me change. All right, see this. Now my theory's falling apart. Let's say,
but Italy was all state, and then Garibaldi, because I'm half Italian, united the entire country at some point, like 1800s.
See, and so that's a perfect example. He probably should have left it as city-states, even though they were warring all the time.
Well, my mom's Sicilian. And Italians will say, you're not really Italian because you're Sicilian. And Sicilians will say, we're not really Italian. We're Sicilian because it really was its own little country.
Yeah.
And that was the reality.
Yeah.
And you actually
something's got to be done. I don't see good things. I don't see a positive energy happening in the country since 2000 maybe, you know.
What was positive in 2000?
I don't know. It just seemed like people were, you know, ignorance is bliss. When there was no social media, when there was no real internet, you know, people were kind of like, you know, like you see people over there. That's how it is. You wouldn't even think about it. But now everybody's in each other's face, and it's bad.
Do you think that we're at the point clearly where when we disagree politically, we don't view each other as fellow Americans? We view each other as the enemy?
Yes.
That's the scariest thing.
I think without a doubt.
And that's the scariest thing, because that's when you really could get to the point of actually shooting somebody.
Don't you feel that way?
With some people. I think so. I talk to Trump. We're on the Progressive Channel. There are Trump supporters who call. If you get beyond this kind of talking point at the top, if you spend like 5 minutes or not even a couple of minutes talking, you can find common ground. Like even the wall thing.
Of course you can.
But so it takes a little bit more effort. But if you can, or you can ratchet it up quickly.
Right.
To the point where like cursing at you and I'm going to punch you in the face.
Right.
It's a choice of people, how you want to live and how you engage.
Yeah.
You like to escalate quickly to the bro. No.
Are you kidding?
No.
I mean, no, I'm just the opposite.
I know that. You're the
I
opposite.
literally want this. I want this country to not have a civil war. It's my worst nightmare. But I do feel like until people acknowledge that this is where it's moving towards, like it's like a pre-fight stage that I'm just like, this is ugly. You know what I mean? And it's just, I just wonder, you know. So
you actually think that there's actually, sincerely, a benefit to us talking about a potential civil war, so people are aware of it.
Where this is like, where it's going.
Right.
Know?
That this is not a game.
Yeah.
We could go to violence.
It's not a game.
Yeah. Other countries have gone to there, obviously.
Yeah.
And
we've gone there. Well,
we did. I mean, slavery and stuff was involved. But it was states' rights. I just don't know if there's enough pockets of people who would actually give up their entire lives.
That's the beauty of the wretched excess of America. Is you're right. Nobody wants to get off the couch. Thank God for iPads. Thank God for Alexa. You know, it does. You're right. It's going to keep us from really engaging in it. But there's a lot of angry people out there. Let's put it that way.
If it wasn't for Siri and Alexa, we'd be much worse. But now it's like, I could get out there and kick someone's ass, or I could use Siri. Siri, order me a pizza.
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's about the idea. Like, do you want to give up your whole life? Like, here's a really dark example. The guy who went into the synagogue in Pittsburgh and killed the people.
Yeah.
He said his last words were like, and he didn't even die, but his words were, screw it, I'm going in. I can't take it anymore.
Right.
And that's the breaking point. And if more Americans got to that point, we would have violence.
Sure.
But we got to prevent that point.
Sure.
And Red State, your show. Red State, Blue State, running January 5th to March 3rd, Manila Lane Theater. How does this show different than constitutional?
Please.
Unconstitutional.
That's the only question I didn't want you to ask.
Okay, sorry.
No, I'm kidding. It's different in that when I did unconstitutional, it was just about the Constitution and how that made our personality.
Okay.
So this one, it's definitely similar.
Okay.
But it's sort of about how the red states and blue states do see things differently. How this way we formed our country, we set it up with this idea, this great idea, but we pushed everything too far. And so now we're going to break up, you know, everything from individual rights to sex to, you know, the idea of consumption and, you know, just everything we just had to push. Our country's based on more. That's what part of the charm. Like, we want more. This is great. You come here. Nobody came here to live a nice, quiet life. You came here to get a big house, a car, success. So that's part of that too. Like, it's just like a meditation on that whole idea and how it leads to, you know, frustration and, you know. Eventually.
Do you have is breaking up the only remedy and solution you offer? Is there anyone
I have
else?
a couple of other options.
You want to save it for the show, for the audience, or
save
you want
it for the show? But I'll give you,
give me a little glimpse.
I don't give you the end ones.
No, don't do that.
But I mean, city states is the big one. But I mean, you know, I'm saying we could just, spend time apart, like break up, just close the internet one day a week, just shut everybody down for one day a week, so everybody has to shut up. You know, because we all get compulsive and just, you know, start tweeting all day and just, it's psychotic. Yeah, we're addicted to it, you know, and it's crazy because, you know, after a while, are you helping or hurting? Are you getting your message across because your ego and because your own will, or is it like actually doing any good? So it's, you know, these are all debatable questions that nobody can really answer.
I think you'd have a lot of people who would agree with that. Social media at first was like the greatest thing.
That's right.
And now it's turned into a way to connect people who should have never been connected before.
Exactly.
Never. They should have been in their basement thinking, I'm the only one who has these crazy ideas.
Yes.
And now they're united and connecting, and it's scary. What's that?
Yeah. And you know what's funny? Like the old radio show. You ever see Talk Radio, that movie that Eric Bogosian?
Yeah, it was just on cable. I watched like half of it, like, I'm not even kidding, like a week and a half ago.
And that movie was about, remember, he's like, you people, you call me, you do it. And it's like, now that's all of us.
Right.
Is him and those people. Like, that was like, oh, these late night radio, because the guy got killed, Alan Berg, remember?
Right, exactly.
So it was like, oh, these psychos that are just focused in. Now that's all of us. We're all radio callers and radio hosts combined, right?
We are. And like for me, my big thing that I deal with to cope, to try to make my life have meaning, is go to Trump's Twitter feeds and respond to most of his tweets. I'm not kidding. Like, if anyone follows me on Twitter, you see, I actually go and go, fact check. I actually write the word fact check. Like, I'm like, I have to have sanity. I have to have some control and stop this, because we can't allow this to become normal. I'm not kidding. Daily, I go 2 or 3 times a day. Fact check. Like, I'm such the nerdy, wonky jackass. And I put all caps. I'm like Jim Norton doing a joke, but fact check. I really say fact check. And but here's a link to the real fact. I can't help myself.
One of the most fantastic days. Fantastic day today. Great day.
It's so sad. This is what I've come to, because if not, I was losing it. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I'm not a control freak, but we all a little bit want to have control of our lives. And it felt like things were just out of control. The guy's lying all the time and no one stops him. Nobody in the media, and his supporters just mimic it. I'm like, I'm going to be the one that calls out the truth of Donald Trump. And America, you're welcome. I thought at some point, no one welcomes me, but I have some more Twitter followers now because of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Have the mob ever come for you? Have you ever had something where you pissed off enough people they came after you?
Well, I mean, look, tough crowd probably did me no favors when I look back on it.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was definitely one of those things where I was trying to have an open, honest discussion where everybody could just say whatever they wanted. But in retrospect,
really
didn't do me any favors in the business, I feel. But, you know, you never know. I mean, no, not in the big sense, no. But
not like these big things like we're
But I'm
hard
on Twitter, I'm so ironic on Twitter anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I don't...
I was on Tough Crowd once. I played an Arab prince.
Yes,
you had me as an Arab prince with a thing. Colin, come on, put me on your show, my friend. Habibi. I remember I never made it to the table. And Tough Crowd, I mean, obviously it was the cellar table come to life.
Sure.
But you experiment. I remember you got rid of chairs for a while.
Yeah.
You had comics not getting the topics to see how they would respond.
Right,
like, I remember, because I tried to get a writing gig on your gig, and you were so annoyed with my writing sample. We won't go through it now. I'm just trying to work it out. Because I thought it was more serious. You're not going to remember this, but you had like questions. You want the joke questions. So I give you serious questions. You're like, why would you do this? It's a comedy. Why wouldn't you not? I'm like,
well, it was always kind of half serious though, you know, and you were probably right. Look,
wow,
like I said, it was, you know, it's everything in the rearview mirror. I'm like, yeah, I know, you know, so it is.
So Red State, Blue State playing through March 3rd at Minetta Lane Theater. Tickets at ColinQuinnShow.com. Is next show Purple State? Like, what do you do next? I mean, is there something? Do you bring people together like this?
The next show is about my next show I already know. It's nothing to do with that.
Seriously?
Yes.
You're a one man. You're a factor of one man shows.
Yes, I am. I have a lot of spare time on my hands.
No, you're Tyler Perry of one man shows. You already know what your next one's going to be?
Yeah. Because I was writing that one, but then I just started seeing, like, I wasn't going to do another one at the country. I already did Unconstitutional.
Right.
But then I was like, no, it just keeps coming to me like that this country's like so... I just kept writing it because I was like, I can't believe this is really happening. That this is... And I was like, wow, this is what it feels. This is what it felt. You know, it's funny. I was reading about the Civil War, the first Civil War. Remember when they used to beat each other? The senators used to beat each other with canes. That was all Civil War, pre-Civil War arguments. That was like 1859, all that stuff was happening. So it was kind of interesting to see, like, that feeling where you feel in the air. Like, you just go around the country. I mean, you know, doing comedy, go around the country, and you just see people, and it's just, I just feel like it's never been this angry and this dismissive and this, it's just strange, you know. It's just the way it is, you know.
It is the level of anger, and it's not all Trump's fault, you know.
No, Trump, it started before Trump.
Right.
Trump is a manifestation, but I mean, it's not. Yeah, it started before him.
Is he talked about in your show?
Yeah.
I mean, like a big part, or
well, he's underneath in a big part, but yeah, of course I talk about him. You know, I mean, you can't not talk about the
so
elephant in the room.
Red State, Blue State, and it's a comedy. People are going to laugh, obviously, because this is what Colin does, and makes some great points. And he's one of the smartest guys I know. I learned a lot about comedy from you. I learned things about work ethic from you. I used to say things that stick with me, and I tell young comics now about. You would say, like, if you're killing every night on stage, you're either a hack or you're not trying new material. And I always remember that.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Sadly, but true.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm a hack. And
no, but it's true. If you're not doing new stuff, if you're not pushing yourself, nobody's going to push you to do new stuff.
Right.
Because it's like you're getting laughs, but it's uncomfortable to bomb. When
I was first starting out, I would see these comics who would kill, and then years later they're doing the exact same act. And later in my career, I understood what was going on.
Right.
They're seduced by these great laughs. Why take a chance with anything new?
Exactly. It's a very comfortable life, but then it ends up costing you.
Because you're not developing enough new material, new tours, new albums, whatever it might be.
The whole point of comedy is. The reason people are laughing. Lorne Michaels actually said this to me once. I go, yeah, because I said, just the idea that I could bomb, it was just, he goes, well, that's what comedy, that's the tension it releases, right? Is that you could bomb. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Wow.
I never thought about that, right?
Right, very good.
Yeah.
I remember my conversation with Lauren on this elevator. It's like, you work for me? I guess. So, all right. So Colin Quinn, check out his show, Red State, Blue State, ColinQuinnShow.com. Playing through March 3rd here at the Minetta Lane Theater. If you're coming to New York for a trip or you live in New York, New Jersey area, check it out. Colin's great writer and comedian.
I want to say the one thing I've never said to anybody in my whole life, but I want to. Continued success. I never get to. My whole life I've heard that, and I've never gotten to say it to
somebody. Thank you very much.
I mean it. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. Folks, we'll take a break. We'll come back more.
Dean Obadala Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.